We're live. Hey everyone, this is Harrison here with my new podcast, Maybe with Harrison. I got my friend and guest Jimmy Coben here, host of the JB Show, chilling in Miami.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, we're gonna talk about podcasting today a little bit and just talk since we haven't caught up in the last couple months. So if you want to just start off, Jimmy, maybe you can tell them a little bit about yourself and what you're up to. Tell them about the JB Show and stuff.
Yeah, of course. So I am currently a senior at University of Miami, majoring in marketing, and a year ago I started my own podcast. I found out that there was kind of a demand for millennials talking about millennial type of stuff and wanting to hear more about, anything from like honest, like vulnerability, just like life stories, what's going on with like other college kids around the world. I really thought that there was more of a figure from voices like Joe Rogan and maybe like Barstool in a sense, but I'm just kind of out there trying to make things really relatable to just a bunch of my friends and just starting to play around with it. It's been pretty fun so far, but it's all about finding interesting people to interview, and that's kind of how it's been working out so far.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I listen to a ton of podcasts. I'm assuming you do as well. And most of the guys I listen to are
Yeah,
probably in their 40s to 50s. Maybe, I mean, some are in their
right.
30s.
Actually, so interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about that. Like, the youngest person I don't even know, maybe Theo Vaughn. He's in his 30s. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's
but
definitely
I think
true.
a lot of people do you listen to any sports podcasts? Because I know, especially with sports, there's they're starting to get a little bit of the younger generation for sure. But there's
Yeah.
no like life podcast really. I think millennial oriented or like even Gen Z oriented. So
Cool. Yeah, so that was kind of your inspiration for starting your own podcast. You kind of wanted to take the traditional podcast angle and then remold it into your special, way from your perspective.
well, like you said when you were on mine, you kind of taught me a lot about personal brand myself, and I think that's been the big key with a lot of influential people, especially on LinkedIn and influencers on social media. I think it's about leveraging yourself on as many different platforms as possible to differentiate yourself. So, but you did that with yourself when you did the fidget spinners
Yeah.
and you had that YouTube channel going. I always had a niche for something like this. I just didn't know what it was yet until I started trying it out. But I just think you just have to. I don't know if you feel uncomfortable in something or you've always wanted to try something. Like I just say fuck it, just try it out. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. That's kind of why I'm starting now. Wanted to do this. Think it's
Yeah.
really cool to try and talk to interesting people, but obviously a little bit nervous about how it might turn out. What if I fail? What if it doesn't materialize? And it's going to be a long process, but there's only one way to find out. So, gotta just try and
Well,
see what
what's
happens.
cool?
Yeah,
And another way it was cool, I was listening about this the other day. There's just even from 20 years from now, there's just gonna be recordings of like yourself when you were just like younger, conversing with like whoever, whatever happens. So I'm thinking in like 20 years, like if I have kids, it's just gonna be awesome because they can just like pull out this like podcast library and listen to me just kind of like in my college days, which is actually like really interesting as well. But you just think about starting a vlog in Israel. I think that would be pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely gonna have a unique perspective. So maybe I will, but just
Yeah.
yeah, just like talking to other people and just trying to get their perspective as well, and then let that build on what I already know is just. I mean, that's what I really like doing, and that's why I like talking to you, just because you're out here like doing it, trying to do your thing, and I love that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought you would be able to help me a little bit since I'm just starting the podcast, and we can just see what happens.
Yeah, totally. And especially with podcasting, I think there's like I want to say it's just more of like picking up and doing, but I think you have to organize it a little bit more. Like finding like your target demographic and like topic is pretty important. I think from then you can start like marketing and kind of seeing who would be interested in viewing. But I think a lot of it has to do with like for me the logo is a pretty big thing. Intro music's a big thing. And then leveraging yourself, I think, is like huge. So if you could like leverage yourself just throughout other people's audiences, that's pretty big. Because fortunate enough, I was able to get that actor Jake Goldberg on, And with his like 30,000 followers on Instagram, it's just one more push kind of just helps you out there. So
Yeah.
wherever you can really leverage yourself. You were also talking to me about hashtags too.
Mm-hmm.
What was the deal with that again, especially with like Instagram, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so just like for Instagram specifically, for targeting different communities or demographics, like college life or basketball or anything, if you look at those hashtags and then get more specific with them, so for basketball, you could have free throws, you could have, 3-pointers, the coaches, the players, and the people and the audiences that look at those hashtags will now be introduced to your commentary and to your topics as long as you continue to push them in the relevant spaces. So as you grow, you can start to target these smaller communities and kind of form niches in different areas based on specific interests that you have or that the podcaster is about or that your audience might be interested in.
Yeah, that's what I'm really curious about too, because I just like started an Instagram kind of a month ago. I haven't really done anything much with it. I have to probably start putting that on my video description link, so I'm going to start doing that. But yeah. I think, like you said, the promo videos that you played with, I think that is like an awesome idea too, because someone also wants to see how you react, kind of sitting down with the guest rather than just listening. Because there's moments where I'm like, I wish I had some of that on video, but now that I'm just starting, it's just like, it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a learning process, so you got to try things, figure out the best way to do it, and then move on, to whatever the next best process is.
So do you think your podcast can be with, like, crypto-oriented or just, like, life, just, like, what's your, I just wanted to, like, see where your kind of head's at.
So right now, I'm thinking, in terms of a little bit selfishly, I just want to like talk to all different types of people that I find interesting. So like it's definitely going to have different focuses like Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's going to be a bunch of different people. Like I want to talk to like, I don't know, a lot of my friends are into like some conspiracy theory stuff, so I want to talk to like some professors and
that's awesome.
Different, actual people that are involved in these fields and not just looking at it from like, the back seat. But yeah, it's definitely, I'll focus on crypto a little bit, just on life. I'm really interested in just politics, psychology, technology, finance, so I'm just going to...
Psychology is so interesting,
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of cool resources too.
Yeah, no, especially when you're in Israel, you're going to be able to get a whole different side of like opinions on like any matters.
Yeah.
That'll be like awesome to kind of dive in there.
Yeah,
I was only there for like through birthright for a week, but if you're going to be there for 2 years, that's just like, I think living in another country is the best way to grow. Yeah. I know I don't have that much experience with it, but just like being abroad, and also since my mom like lives in the Netherlands now, it's just really cool to, I don't know, there's just like a culture shock, I think, with traveling. So
yeah, and I totally agree, and especially like I was living in London for the last year. I'm gonna be living in Israel, open-endedly. And like when I was with my girlfriend, so it's not, and I had some friends, so it's not like you're by yourself. But when you're like immersed in another culture and another society that you don't fully understand, that's where you also really like start to understand you and like what you think and what your predetermined assumptions are and how they differ from other people. And it kind of makes you think. At least for me, it was a very introspective experience where I was like, like they're definitely different. Some better ways, some worse ways, but it just makes me think about myself and how I act and how I think. So, as far as a growing experience, for sure.
Are you going to Israel alone with anybody, or
are
you going with your girlfriend, or?
Yeah, so me and my girlfriend are moving in together. She's actually we live together in London, but we're moving in together in Tel Aviv now. So she's there with her dad right now. She's looking at apartments. She just finished her master's degree, her final dissertation, so she's back in Paris. It's a much easier flight for her. And yeah, so she's just looking for apartments now. It's going to be me and her. I know a few friends there from studying abroad and from Birthright. I actually just reached out.
Live there?
Yeah, a kid from Lower Merion. What'd you say?
Wait, I said you have friends that live there too now?
Yeah, a few. Not many, but... One kid went to Lower Merion in Penn State, and he's Israeli, and his family moved here for work originally, so he's back there doing his thing. And yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's better than London in terms of relationships because my girlfriend has some family there as well. So it'll be easier to meet new people and, continue the relationships I already have. But the language barrier is definitely going to be tough. But I got to face that one day at a time as well, just trying to pick up on my Hebrew slowly and painfully, not getting very far.
Yeah, I'm like, I really haven't touched it since bar mitzvah. I'm not that my skills aren't that sharp.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when I was on birthright, I was sitting down with one of the soldiers, and she was trying to like teach me Hebrew, and I was very surprised that I didn't even recognize like much of it, which was kind of I felt like kind of bad about it. But you really lose the language quickly if you don't practice.
Yeah, like when I studied abroad there, I was there for 6 months, and the first 2 weeks with our university program, we had 4 hours a day of intensive Hebrew from 8 to noon.
That's so much.
So we would literally come back from like going out or at the clubs at 3 or 4 a.m. and like fall asleep for a few hours and wake up either hungover or still drunk and like roll out of bed and just like be zombies in class. And at that point, enough people speak English in Tel Aviv, and I wasn't going to be there long enough where I took it seriously. I was like, I'll never get good enough to actually use it. And I kind of regret that now that I'm going back and have like such a small base to be working with. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to take another program. Yeah.
Are you doing this through like Onward or like a different type of program, like a teaching fellowship? Or are you kind of working locally with your crypto business still?
So I'm making Aliyah, which means I'm becoming an Israeli citizen. So right now I'm working remotely for the same job, the same company that I have been. I'll just be doing that in Israel. But so yeah, I went through this program called Nefesh B'Nefesh. And what they do is pretty much help you organize all the documents you need, organize, the paperwork, the timeline, and just get you prepared. And then they help you submit the paperwork. And the citizenship process is really simple, actually. I had to go to New York and speak with an Aliyah advisor, like an official consular, government person. But the whole interview took like 30 minutes because they told me.
Were they really nice?
They were really nice. It was so funny. There was one time they asked me, like, I thought he said, why do you want to move to Israel? Like an interview question. And I started spewing like some nonsense. And he's like, no. Like not nonsense, but like, I was like, oh, like I didn't think he would be, questioning me like this.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, like not why, when do you want to go? And I'm like, oh, that's much better. Like, I didn't want to have to make up some, like, I found my deeper religious roots and I want to get in touch, which there is some, spirituality and cultural aspects.
No, that's the whole birthright. That's the whole birthright questionnaire. It's just like, because when I was at the airport, they were asking me, like, what my Torah portion was.
Yeah.
What do you remember doing while you were in school? And I was just like, I just can't tell you much.
Yeah, and
I don't know. When you're that little in first school, it's just not fun.
Yeah, and you don't, I mean, now, it wasn't fun. It's funny to look back on it now, and, like, see what they were trying to teach, and, like, I feel like now I would have a much bigger appreciation. But, yeah, I mean, at that point, you're like, fuck school. Like, I just want to get out of here. I already do enough school during the day. I don't want to have to do extra school. So, yeah, I don't know. People struggle through and then quit a lot.
This is like a totally random question. I was just thinking about this today. Just thought I'd ask you. When you were like a senior in college, did you like take advantage of visiting other schools? Because I'm like looking back on it, and I feel like now's the time to really just like see what other schools are like. Because I just was in Wisconsin last weekend, and it was just like awesome. I got to see Ryan Campbell and like some other Wayne kids.
Nice.
It was awesome. But at the same time, like since I go to Miami, it's amazing. But I feel like while you're in college, like especially your senior year, is a time to really like see what else is going on. Because I don't know, I went to Penn State once and it was unbelievable, but I also don't know what it's like when you're 21. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I visited a lot of my friends earlier, just because randomly, throughout freshman, sophomore, junior year. And I was actually getting a little nostalgic senior year, like, you're getting to the end of the frat, you're going to the bar all the time. So I was really in, like, the Penn State mindset where, like, I wanted to be there every weekend. I wanted to be doing my stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also that time where if you are visiting your friends, like, this will be the last time where you'll really be able to fully immerse yourself into that college experience.
I
So
know.
if you want to see them, like now's definitely the time to do it. But you're also at Miami for
Yeah,
your last year, so
yeah, I
either
know.
choice. There's no wrong
But one thing
choice.
is, yeah, the school's definitely evolving, and I would say from freshman year to now, there's no really bar scene at school, which kind of sucks. There's like one small strip of bars, and then the rest of it's just clubs, and they're
Hmm.
getting really strict with fraternities. So it's just really expensive for kids to go out. So that's like the one thing that's changing. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in like 5 to 10 years, even
Hmm.
generally speaking with all fraternities. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you think like they'll even be around just because
I do.
people have social media now? Like, you think so?
I think there's definitely a war against fraternities, and I think in some ways,
They're
like
totally.
there's a lot of people that don't like the idea of an exclusive club, and like I understand that, and there's also the hazing aspect, which I'm not gonna go into, but
Yeah, Sam.
yeah, I mean I don't know, fraternities, like you choose them. There's a reason you do them, and that's because they're amazing, and the
Yeah.
experience it provides is. I mean that for me, when I think of my college experience, like I think of Penn State, but before that, I think of my fraternity experience. I think of like because
Yeah.
that for me was
That's
my
my brother
college
was probably
experience.
good.
So,
Yeah.
and also, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
No, no, no. I was just saying, like, I was saying Daniel probably thinks the same way, just
Yeah,
because. Yeah, yeah, he totally does.
yeah, he does. Daniel's my little
He was like,
brother, and
actually,
yeah. Go ahead.
wait, he was actually talking to me. He's trying to move to St. Louis after school. I don't know. Yeah, he probably mentioned that to you as well.
He's looking into some cool jobs, so if he gets the right job, he's willing to move, which is cool. I don't know about St. Louis. I'm not sure how much is going on there, but if they're gonna, if he finds
Yeah.
something that's worth it and something that he enjoys, he should definitely do it. So, St.
No,
Louis
because I
maybe.
told him, because I know he wants that. Yeah, he wants that Anheuser Busch like supply chain something.
Yeah.
And I told him that like my roommate's like best friend from home, his mom like is like part of that distribution management.
Wow.
So I just literally was like, reach out, but I don't know
Yeah.
if you took advantage of it yet. So I'm gonna shoot him a follow up text probably.
He should be texting you for getting that networking opportunity, not the other way around.
I know.
Yeah.
No, it's actually true because like this summer really took advantage of just like the LinkedIn, like just capitalizing on LinkedIn and kind of networking aspect. When I got back to school, a lot of my friends were like, or asking me like, I don't know, like help for doing it.
Hmm.
It's not that hard. All you have to do is really just message someone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just your
Yeah.
friends, and you're telling them, like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. If you know people that have this, that are working in this field or have similar interests or can help guide me, I would love for that opportunity. And a lot of people just don't realize, especially like people like us in college with a lot of, family, friends, and other networks, it's just one person away from finding that job. That's actually how I found the guy that I'm working with now, was through a mutual friend who learned that I was doing cryptocurrency related stuff and portfolio management. And he was like, oh, my dad's coworker, like one of my dad's ex-coworkers has a hedge fund related to blockchain and Bitcoin based projects. You guys should get in touch. And I didn't even think it was going to be like a work opportunity. I thought it was just going to be a way for us to talk and just talk about the industry, pick each other's brains. And it instantly turned into something else. So that was a really, just right there is just one example of networking in effect.
Yeah, didn't one of your friends, you start a crypto business with one of your friends? Because I remember I did, I think one of your friends' apartments in New York City, in Philadelphia with Daniel once.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did crypto with you. So I met that guy. He was a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, so
I don't know if I'm like correct here, but
you're kind of correct. I have some friends that work. I don't work with them, but they also are in the
Yeah.
crypto-related space. They do like advisory and consulting, and they actually have their own coin. I don't know if it's related to all of them. I know one of the founders is also working on this coin. Yeah, maybe I'll get him on soon to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, we kind of all found it from each other, which is funny. My friend group, there was one of us that just initially discovered it and was just pushing it onto us, trying to get us to learn and understand. And it took a while, but it was just such an interesting emerging field that we just kind of all had the opportunity to latch on and start from the bottom and just like grow with it a little bit. So it's been a fun experience. I'm sure for them too.
do you think there's going to be crypto integrated into the education system at college? Like, do you think there will be crypto classes soon?
Yeah, there's already master's programs that are offering master's degrees in cryptography, which is computer and science related, but there's also cryptocurrency related and blockchain programs now. So in the last year and a half, there's probably been 5 or 10. I don't want to get this wrong, but I maybe Cornell or some, it was a big school just released a blockchain program, like a very reputable school. So it's coming, and just the different infrastructural and other aspects of it besides finance, like the computer and security aspects, like there's just so many opportunities for people to just take it in so many different ways. It's going to keep growing in the education and college field for sure, I think.
No, because I think it would be awesome if you're a business major at school. What if one of your core requirements was like crypto 101 or something like that, just to get people educated generally?
That would be
I mean,
amazing.
if it is the future, I'd say most people don't know really what it is or does. I had no idea before I talked to you. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I learned a little bit in econ class in high school about Bitcoin
Yeah.
when the price was like $800. And 3 years later, it was like 60,000.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's like it's something big. But yeah, it was awesome to like kind of hear you break it all down.
Yeah.
That was kind of my like introduction to it all.
Yeah.
Some of my friends, when they listened to that podcast, one of my friends actually bought like a bunch of coins. I don't know which one, but he was just like, he's like, dude, like that guy Harrison just reminded me just to kind of get back on the game, and I started laughing.
They got to make sure they're not gambling though, because there's a lot of terrible scammy coins out there trying to take advantage of uneducated investors and people that are willing to try and make a quick buck. So you gotta definitely do your own research.
Like, could you dumb that down a little bit? Like,
sure. So,
are you? Yeah.
So how it works, Bitcoin and all of these currencies are open source, which means the entire code can be copied and reprinted and recreated. So you could take the Bitcoin code and make Jimmy Coin like tonight, if you wanted to. It would, and Jimmy Coin doesn't have any value except if enough people start using it. You know, if you can get your friend to sell you a pizza for a Jimmy Coin, now it's worth something, right? So how it works is a lot of projects will create fake trading volume. They'll create fake aspects of their projects, and it's not necessarily lying, but since they're not securities and there's just assets, there's so much unregulation and there's so much ability to manipulate the market right now that if you don't know what you're investing in, it's so easy to invest in a project that's just going to either fail or take your money and run. And there's been thousands, so far, and there's going to be a lot more that come. So there's a lot of projects that, like, it's kind of in a similar way to the internet bubble. You know, in the early 2000s, late 1990s, there was the companies like Amazon and Google that were being created and were just started and were extremely undervalued. But there was also companies like Pets.com with multi-billion-dollar valuations to deliver dog food. And there was just no market for that. And people invested and lost billions because everybody thought that every little internet website was going to be the next big thing. So, unfortunately, I wasn't there for that. You know, we weren't born yet or we were born, but we weren't, knowledgeable enough to understand what was happening. But that's definitely reshaping itself in certain ways. So, you definitely got to be smart. It's definitely investing, and it can turn into gambling really quickly if you don't know what you're doing. So tell them to do their research. Tell them to do their research and to not buy shit coins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And kind of looking back on it, your senior of college, did you know where you were kind of be just entering your senior year to now? Like, would you have made any guesses that you end up in this spot?
I had such a weird last year and a half because I started my fidget spinner 3D printing company. It was really initially just to add something to my resume. Look, I'm making this thing. I have this little side project. Look at me, I can do my own stuff. And then I started, that started actually picking up. So I accepted a full-time position, government contracting position in Washington after school. And I ended up turning that position down actually to pursue my fidget spinners, which at the time I was like, oh yeah, fidget spinners. Yeah. So I was doing well for a while until, mass production came. These Chinese factories and these overseas factories were going to produce them at a fraction, pennies on the dollar for what I was producing them as. And they were just pumping them out in the millions. So they were saturating the market. It ended. It was a swift death for me. I could have capitalized earlier. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was kind of just going for it. And there were other people, similar to my age, college and high school, that made hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit from fidget spinners. Just because they got in at the right time. They started their own company and they were better at marketing and they, spent more money probably than I did. So yeah, I was kind of like, all right, I have this weird opportunity. Like, I can either take this job now or I can continue with it. One thing led to another. That business started to dwindle, and I sold it as I was starting to learn more about cryptocurrency. So that kind of led me. I don't think that led me to it, but that gave me the opportunity to pursue cryptocurrency in a more meaningful way rather than just like as a passive investor. So looking back at, if junior year Harrison, like 20-year-old Harrison versus now, like living in London for a year, going to move to Israel, like I would have never, ever expected that. I would never even thought that I would leave the country, like live anywhere else. I thought I'd be so it's totally shocking. I think 19-year-old Harrison would be happy about the decisions and like what's going down. Hopefully we'll see, but I had no idea at all. What about you, man? Where do you think you're gonna be in 5 years?
That's like the scariest question. I know I'm prepared to answer that in a bunch of interviews coming up, but I've been talking to a lot of this about my friends, and everyone's heads out that they want to like, get to New York City or Chicago or Boston or San Francisco. So those are definitely hot spots on the list. I know San Francisco's extremely expensive to live in. New York City is extremely expensive to live in. So I'm thinking it would be awesome to end up in Chicago, maybe for a year. I've never been there before. Save up some money and then maybe make a lateral move to another country. Like I don't know. I definitely I'm open because I don't have any time. Nothing's tying me down. Like I feel like if there's a time to do it, you got to do. Perfect example of someone who I would look up to that really kind of took advantage of that. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, why not? If you have the opportunity and it makes sense, I definitely think you should do it. Like, why wait? We're young ones. We got the time now to do what we want to do and like enjoy it while we still can. Like that's kind of corny, but it's true. Like I can move to a foreign country. Like if I move to Thailand when I'm 70, like if let's say even I'm really rich and successful, it's like, all right, I'm going to fucking die soon. Like I'm just going to rot away on this beach. Like I'd rather just do it now if I can.
In Thailand, there were so many war vets or just older like men that someone I talked to, like, on a more of like a kind of screwed up note, they like either ran away from their families or they were just like divorced and didn't have that much money. But obviously, the economy over there is way different than here.
Yeah,
and your dollar's just worth a lot more. So they were just able to live. Breakfast is like, lunch and dinner is 50 cents. If you like eat right, if you eat like from like a food truck or a cheap restaurant, it's so cheap. So, but I think with $20 a day, you could live a very like nice lifestyle over there for sure. Yeah. So it's interesting, but it's also crazy because there was a lot of like the environment was really cloudy, and we were even asking some like the taxi drivers like, what is this? And it's just pollution. I think the air over there is like pretty dirty too, and it was pretty sad to see some in the ocean.
Wait, I went to Thailand.
That were just...
Go ahead, sorry.
What's up?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, there were some parts... Yeah, no, all good. There were some parts of the beach that, like especially like on Patong Beach, but that's like one of the main beaches. There's sections where they're just covered in trash in the ocean. Like there's a certain section of the ocean that are just covered in trash. So pollution over there, yeah, it's kind of concerning, honestly. Some of the stuff that goes on.
But yeah, like I was in Thailand as well. I went with some buddies. I never saw like smog. I know China and India and some other Asian countries are like you can't see past your face because the smog's so bad. But like were you in Bangkok when you saw when you were able to visibly see the pollution?
So we were in Chiang Mai and we were going to one of the temples and there was like a lookout point and everything was super foggy. We there was like 12 of us. We were all asking the taxi driver what he thought it was. He was like clouds, but we personally thought it was smog. Yeah. I could be totally wrong, but I don't know. A better guess to myself that it probably was smog.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. We definitely gotta try and limit that if we can, but we'll see.
No, that would be a fun place to kind of go for a bit. It would be really cool. So I think what you should do, just going back to the vlog, it would be so cool if you had like a vlog saying like I moved to another country for 2 years. Then you did like a weekly video. You get a little like stabilizer. You could like edit it a bit, do, like a 10-minute recap of your week about what you learned. Because I know that's how like some famous YouTubers kind of started out their stuff, which would be awesome.
Yeah. The only thing is, I definitely want to like immerse myself and do that, but I feel, I don't know, I would like to do a daily vlog. I would definitely be interested in that, but I don't know if I would be able to keep up with it. Like, I don't know if I would have the passion to pursue that like indefinitely, where I feel like with the podcasting and just talking with people that I'm interested in and like speaking with, that's something that I genuinely enjoy. So like, it's not even really work. It's more like I can just put it out. But I would love to show my life for sure. Like if I can help other people, like either immigrate or just like see what it's like to live in another country, that'd be sick. I'd be down. Maybe I'll definitely got to think about how I can integrate that.
Yeah, I just feel like it's another platform to leverage yourself on.
Yeah.
Because if you have a YouTube channel, I was even looking at, I forgot whose channel it was. I think it was Theo Vaughn. His episodes on YouTube aren't called his podcast. He just labels it as his name. Mm-hmm. So that way you're able to put your podcast episodes on YouTube. Then if you wanted to do something else, like make like a funny video, it's all under the same like handle, which is pretty cool. So I think that's like something I was thinking about doing kind of as kind of launch my channel.
No, I think that's smart. I think if you get, that's almost like making different shows where you have like one like podcast show, one like daily live show. So that is definitely like a way to just create by just recording yourself and doing what you're going to do anyway, and then like leverage that in different ways depending on the market or whatever kind of audience you're trying to reach. So one thing you're talking about a lot, which I like and I think is interesting, is like using your network and using like your leverage to meet new people and to continue to expand. So like, what do you think the most important thing you're doing now is to like grow yourself?
I think if I can think of a couple things, just off the top of my head, getting people to post for you, not posting yourself, so it's showing that other people are promoting your stuff, not just yourself. I think that's really important. So maybe if I think an episode's pretty funny, I'll have my friends post a clip on their Instagram story. I have my friends reshare stuff on Facebook. So just the more outreach, the best as possible. And I think utilizing the student card is really big for those in college. I think when I'm approaching people and saying I'm a student in school, they're more willing to give a helping hand. I know my professors talk about that a lot.
For sure.
And then number 3, leveraging someone with a bigger audience until you work your way up. Because one of my friends is a famous YouTuber. His name is Matty Schaefer. His channel's called MS Tech, if anyone wants to go check it out. I had a long conversation with him about podcasts and YouTubing. And he was telling me the biggest things are like thumbnails, so the picture of the video. And he was also saying hashtags and consistency. So always keeping stuff around the same length. Making, I don't know, maybe the topics aren't like sticking to the same like theme almost to just this like targeting the same demographic, like all that stuff really like piles in. But I think leveraging your network's the biggest way to do it.
Yeah, one thing I'm a little nervous about is I know it's important to focus on a key idea or a certain topic or a certain demographic, but I want to talk to just like random people, just like all over the spectrum, like totally unrelated. But I don't know if I could tie that in together to like continuously have someone that likes to listen to someone like you starting a podcast, and then someone like sports or someone in music or something like a weird professional thing.
I don't really have like a defined theme overall than kind of making things relatable to college kids. I think that's what I go for, but anybody I could talk to, I could relate that. So I think whatever topics you're talking about in life, as long as you could relate that to your own experiences, people will enjoy it. So as long as you can gain some traction that people like your episodes, I don't think you'll have a big problem kind of going off from there.
If you could have one person on your podcast, who would it be?
Theo Vaughn, for sure.
Theo
Chris
Vaughn.
Lilly. One of the...
Yeah, a couple of legends.
So, you know who Chris Lilly is?
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah. I think like his Summer Heights High and like Jonah from Tonga and all those TV shows are just so brilliant. I think it's awesome for a character to play themselves in a show in 7 different ways. I just think that's like really funny because you gotta just like talk to them about each character, and it would just be literally never ending.
Yeah.
So that would be like a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know, man. Do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
Yes, I do. I actually read his book, 12 Rules for Life.
Yeah, I've been on a Peterson bender for the last like 2 years now, and it's just he's just extremely interesting. He's just made me think in different ways that I've never considered. So I just think he's a fascinating person. I would love to just sit down and talk with him for a little.
Have you read his book, The 12 Rules for Life?
Yeah, I pre-ordered that on Amazon before. Like, I was definitely one of the first people. I've been a fan for a while now. So yeah, it was an interesting book. I tried to get one of my buddies to read it, but didn't get him yet. So
no, especially the analogy with like standing up straight. Because I always used to slouch, and how he related that to like crabs or what was it?
Lobsters.
It was lobsters
Lobsters.
underwater. That was just like. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, just like he does make you think in a totally different way because he's talking about kind of like a Nat Geo segment, but that also made you kind of realize to relate it to experience it yourself, which is pretty interesting. I think all those self-help books are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I just think a lot of the psychological and like philosophical and even religious / spiritual stuff he talks about is really interesting because he looks at it from I don't want to say a realist perspective, but he looks at it as if to be interpreted, whether now I feel like a lot of, especially young people and young Jews in particular, young secular Jews, they're like, oh, God's that guy sitting on the clouds with the white beard holding the lightning bolt. Like, that obviously isn't real. But then you start hearing about the morality and some of the, innuendos of what these stories are trying to teach or what they're supposed to mean. And it's like, wow, like that is some deep fucking truth right there. And it's universal and cross-cultural. Like, it's just always been there and probably always will be. And it's like, I just never was looking at it like that before. And I just thought that was just eye-opening for me, personally.
Yeah, I have some friends who, like, I feel like everybody in their time of life goes through a period of kind of personal growth, whatever battles, like, you might be facing in a way. You're always kind of just, like, learning from something and moving on, whether it be, like, a breakup, maybe like a loss in family, or whatever it really is. But I think books are like a great way to help in a sense. And I have like some friends that just kind of everybody I know has just been on a bender for reading like Jordan Peterson. Kind of I don't know if you read the new David Goggins book. Can't Hear Me. That's like an unbelievable.
I haven't read it, but
that was crazy.
Yeah. He's crazy. Yeah, I mean I've heard him on Rogan. He's a savage. He's an absolute savage.
No, the book gets into so much more detail. I highly recommend it just because he kind of stresses what you're actually able to do, and physical like pain is like the best, or like just pushing your body to the limit is one of the best ways to show like who your true colors are as a person, and that and like mental toughness too. That it's just and that a lot of it. I can imagine myself doing 100.
Yeah, and that a lot of it really is mental. Like, you think you're going to pass out after the 20th mile, and then you run another 80 miles. And it's like, Jesus Christ, what is going on here? Like, that is not real. Like, that's crazy. Miles. Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah, because he talked about in his book how he did 100 miles, and his, like, legs were literally falling apart. Like, just the skin on his legs was, like, falling off, and rolled his ankle, and dehydrated. And just because, like, he like told his mind he could do it, he ran through it. That's crazy,
Yeah. Willpower and mental strength is definitely real, and there's people that have it on a whole nother level than me and everyone else in the world right now. So that's definitely inspiring too. It's hard because I feel like I watch those things and it's like, yeah, like let's go do it, like let's get after it, like let's go do that business or do the podcast or go for the run. But then you got to keep it up afterwards. For the next week and the next month, and that's where it gets tricky. That's the real mental toughness.
True. Because I know there's points in time where I've not gotten lazy, but I haven't put in full effort to release something every week. Like I had a couple exams last week, and I missed like one of my weeks. But just like I don't know, there's definitely more work you could be putting in always. Like, just utilizing my time better, that's something I'm trying to think of.
Yeah.
Because there is a period where I don't have class for 2 hours, but I'm not really doing much.
Yeah.
I feel like if you could effectively use your time throughout the day, I would totally be more productive. So.
Yeah, I mean
Something else I'm
it's
trying to
different
work on.
for you too because you have like your classes cutting up your days and like you have different stuff when compared to when you have a job and it's like you're working all day and so you either have time like before or afterwards to get it done. And that's where it kind of comes in where it's like, all right, you worked 8 hours today or 10 hours today. Now are you going to go in there and put in the extra 2 3 hours to either do your side project or work out? And it's hard. I mean, I definitely
Yeah,
slack off more than I should.
that's for
I'm
sure.
trying, but I'm not that good yet. So hopefully I get better. Yeah, one day at a time.
Are you going abroad, like living abroad in Israel? Do you feel like you're nervous for like seeing family at all? Obviously, like do you know how often you'll be able to see like, Daniel? Obviously, your sister, your mom as well. I'm just
Yeah.
like curious about that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, my sister lives in San Francisco right now, so between me and her, like my mom is just not even close. Like she doesn't have any of us besides my brother who's probably going to be moving as well once he
Yeah,
graduates. So, I mean, I'm gonna visit as much as I can. Obviously, as I move there initially, it's gonna take a few months or to get ready
yeah,
and get situated. But my mom's gonna come visit me. Hopefully, my brother and sister will. But she's working, and he'll be working soon. So they have other priorities, and we talk all the time, like almost every day. Not every day, but every few days. I'm usually talking to at least one, if not both of them. And then same with my mom. I talk to at least a few times a week. I'm living with her now, so we talk a lot until I move. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean it's hard once you get older and graduate and move. It's definitely harder to stay in touch, and especially even with family, keep that physical face to face relationship can get challenging. Do you see us?
And is there
Yeah,
anything you're nervous for? Or sorry, I just wanted to ask this question
yeah.
too, just because living abroad is just like definitely an interest of mine in the near future. Is there like anything you're kind of like nervous about even before you went to London that you're not gonna like you feel like you won't have access to, or like anything you feel like you'll be missing out on?
I mean, for me, I guess some of it has to do with social media because just seeing all my friends like partying together and hanging
Yeah,
out, and I'm like, I love my girlfriend. She's awesome, and I'm really happy that we moved in together and that we're going to Israel. But there are some times where I'll just be like bored or just like doing my own thing, and all my friends are hanging, and it's like that's something I'm definitely giving up. As far as being nervous, I was definitely really not really nervous, but when I was going to London, I was like I'm about to move across the ocean for a little bit. Like, what if this thing doesn't work out with my girlfriend? Like, what if I get fired? What if I can't make money? Like, what am I gonna do? So there's always those fears that are like when you're going into an uncertain situation, like how it's gonna turn out. But you kind of just either you gotta have some hope and you gotta have a plan to a certain extent and just go for it and hope that it works out. You can't let it scare you away. Like if I was too nervous that I might break up with my girlfriend that I didn't end up going to London, like I would have missed out on that whole experience.
yeah,
And I didn't know. Maybe after living with me for a month, she would have fucking hated it. But luckily that didn't happen. So we were able to pull it
yeah,
off. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Awesome.
mean, it's just like the uncertainty of a new situation. There's a lot of what ifs, especially with Israel, where it's a totally new culture, new language. You hear a lot more. There's a lot more terrorism and stuff like that. Even though there's not a lot of crime, which is good, but there's always that random possibility that something goes wrong. But that's everywhere. That could be in America, in New York. That could be in London. So I try not to let that hold me back.
Yeah,
But there's definitely some things pulling at the back of my head once in a while. But you gotta just think what you really want, and you gotta do what's best.
mm-hmm. So I interrupted you before. I think you were. Do you have something to ask?
Yeah, we were just talking about family. Because it was interesting. I didn't know your mom
Yeah.
was living in the Netherlands. And where is your sister in Colorado or in New York?
So my sister is in New York now,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, my mom goes back and forth from the Netherlands, but she mainly lives in the Netherlands now.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then my dad's in Philly, and then my stepbrother actually, or my parents are getting married soon. My dad's getting remarried in like a month or two. My stepbrother
Congrats.
now goes to Miami Law School, which is pretty cool. So he did. He actually did a teaching fellowship in Israel for a year. Met his girlfriend there, and now he goes to law school in Miami, and she lives with him here, and she
Wow.
coordinates Hillel, which is pretty awesome. So
That's great.
yeah,
There's a lot of stories like
yeah,
that, man.
he changed. Like he definitely changed. I think like maturity level in Israel. Just before he left, he was like transitioning out of college, and then going to Israel and like living in another culture and kind of doing that for a year. I almost didn't. Not that I almost didn't recognize him at first. It was just very. It was a different adjustment. So.
For better or for worse? Hopefully for better, right?
I think better. I mean, like, yeah, he's totally geared in like school now, and I was thinking like, oh, like you're coming to Miami with me, like I'm so excited for you, like party with me my senior year, and he's like, dude, like I'm in like law school now. It's just I'm not really gonna have time for any of that. I'm like, yeah, like last time I was really hanging out with him, he was still a senior in Maryland, so it's just a lot's changed.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I mean, that's good and bad. You know, you gotta love those Miami club nights, but I guess there's other priorities sometimes.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, me and my friends don't really, I don't think we utilize it as much this year just because if you're going to go out and, like, actually want to have, like, a fun night from just, like, the Uber to get there and plus, like, buy a couple drinks, you're going to spend at least, like, $75. It's just,
Wow.
like, in a big state school like Penn State,
That
how
wouldn't-
much, like, isn't a drink only, like, $4 or $5 or
Dude,
maybe cheaper than that?
if I'm spending like more than $20 on a night out in state college, I mean, assuming not counting the pregame, but like if I'm out, because I'm already a little drunk if I'm going to the bar, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
four or
yeah,
five
yeah.
bucks, $4 or $5 max. You know, couple dollars for a beer sometimes
Really?
if you go to the right bar. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
Yeah,
different.
it's not here. It's like 12 or It's like $12 or $13 for the drink. And you know what some places do?
Damn.
They add a tip already on, and they don't
Yeah.
tell you. And then they have the tip line, so you tip another $1. So you're tipping like
Wow.
30% already. It's tough.
The
It's tough.
elusive double tip.
I know. It's smart though. I
It's
think
really
it's smart.
Because you probably don't even, half the people probably don't even realize.
No, we only realized my friend was like, "Yeah, what she's about to do," and she just pressed the 25% on the tip thing. I was like, "It's not even like you're doing 20%. You're tipping. You're
An
tipping yourself
excessive
25%."
amount. Yeah, like 20% is generous. 25, you're pushing it.
I know, but like I have no idea. You know?
Yeah, no, you're drunk, you're having fun. You know, your beer's $7 instead of $5, and you don't even realize.
Yeah.
So what's Miami nightlife like? Like, are you going to miss it? Are you still going out in the city a lot? Or is it mostly you're staying around university now, going to the local bars?
So there's no local bar scene here. There's one street, but after like a couple weeks, it kind of dies off. I think it's more because it's overrun by a lot of the younger kids, and I think I don't know. I don't really like a lot of me and my friends don't really like pink covers to get into like some of the younger bars. It's like stupid. I don't know.
No, I got you. You only have so much money per night.
Yeah, then like with the fraternity, I'm already spending money on that. So the tailgates and like he's like known for like pool parties, obviously, which are pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some of the nightlife is just like a lot. You're asking like a lot just because we're still 25 minutes from South Beach, and one, it's like a lot of money, so you just kind of have to like pick and choose your battles. Yeah, especially here. So.
Can you go out in Miami if you don't have money? Like if you don't have like a job or your parents that help you or something, like if I'm a regular Miami student on a scholarship, what am I doing on a Friday night? Like, am I going to try and sneak into the clubs or?
Like, I don't even know. 'Cause most places, some places don't require an entry fee, but I think of it as this. Even with the Ubers, like Ubers just aren't that. Like I think if you're Ubering somewhere that's 20 minutes away, that's like a $20 Uber, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure during traffic on a
Yeah.
Friday night, like in Miami in the center of the city, yeah, definitely.
No, it's not. I think if you're money conscious, you probably won't be wanting to go out that much.
Yeah, I guess you're probably not going to Miami if you're looking to save the money.
Yeah, it's just an expensive city. It's the same with New York.
Yeah.
Even in New York this summer, everything was so expensive.
Yeah,
but I
crazy.
think the happy hours though, because like happy hours especially are like a big thing here. That's when it's like normal price for a lot of places. So Friday afternoons are pretty fun too.
Yeah, that's good. You can get a couple cheap drinks here or there if you're looking, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you still
It's also
involved?
like,
Okay.
yeah, involved.
I was gonna like in the fraternity
Um,
life, and are you still hitting the frat a lot and doing that kind of stuff?
Tailgates only, probably.
Tailgates only.
Fraternity
Mm.
involvement. Yeah, I mean, were you like involved your senior year at all? Just because I don't know, I never really understood why seniors weren't until I got here. Now I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back and
Yeah.
just kind of because of the podcast taking up a ton of my time, and same with like applying for jobs too. So I don't really have. I don't know. I think I'll value maybe like a Saturday morning sometimes now. Just gotta like yet again just pick and choose a battle. Like, do I want to go to like a wine Wednesday night or kind of just like sit there and bang out a podcast? Like
Yeah.
now, I'd rather just do a podcast. Yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, for us,
different.
we
Yeah.
weren't in the like we would go for the frat, obviously for the tailgates, and we had parties like every Friday night. So we would usually go there before the bars, to either pregame or like just get a little started. But like in terms of living in the house, the people that are in charge and that are running the house are all the sophomores and juniors. So they're the ones that are like really involved, organizing everything, like taking advantage of all the events. And especially in Pennsylvania, we have really strict drinking laws. So fake IDs and stuff don't really fly. Like no people really go to the bars. I mean, you can sneak one in now and again, but I have friends that have gotten arrested for fake IDs. So you don't really go to the bars much until your senior year or junior year once you're 21. So at that point, it's kind of like you've been doing your fraternity thing for 2-3 years now. It's time to like do some other stuff. But we definitely utilized it when we could, especially like on the weekends we were there. But it's different once you're a senior.
No. Yeah. Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Senior year. I mean, I'm only a couple weeks into it, but
Yeah, you're fresh.
it definitely feels a lot different.
Do you
So
feel
you know when
old?
you go abroad and then you come back. What's up?
Do you feel old?
Yes, I do, but I also feel like I don't recognize like anybody on campus anymore.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
dude.
Just because like you miss a semester where there's new members of the frat, and you just have no idea who anyone is. So,
Yeah.
so it's just like I'm not really recognizing too many people, which I kind of like because
Yeah.
sometimes I don't want to like walk to class. I sometimes just walking to class with my headphones in and not really just like saying hi to people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different.
Sometimes, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Once you come back from studying abroad, which we were both lucky enough to do, it's kind of like the changing of the guard. Like,
Feels so weird.
yeah, it's just
You know, people in a sense say like abroad changed me, but it's always like a running joke that people just say like, oh, like I missed abroad and other.
yeah.
Do you feel like it genuinely impacted your decision at all to live in London or now even move back to Israel?
Well, I mean, I'd met my girlfriend there, so it definitely did change me because that's.
Yeah,
I mean,
I heard
yeah,
that.
yeah. She's French Israeli, so we met. An introduction to Islam was the class we met in, and then she happened to be
That is awesome.
right. She also happened to live right above me, one floor above me, so that was convenient. But yeah, I mean, in terms of changing me, like, I'm lucky. I've been able to travel to a lot of places. So I've definitely been able to experience other cultures and like get to see other stuff. So, but as far as living in another country, it kind of made me realize that like everyone's kind of the same. I mean, at least in general, like people, just want to live their life, graduate school, do their job, hang with their friends. So I don't know if
Yeah.
it changed me, but it just like I mean, but it also did in some ways because it makes you think. Like I didn't come back with my pinky up, like oh, like I'm a cultured, man now that's
Yeah.
traveled through
Yeah,
the
no.
world. But it makes you think. Makes you think.
I think that one of the biggest things I got out of it was making all these friends from different schools that I should never have known. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, me and my roommates got so close last semester. Like I've never been closer to a group of guys. I feel like since camp itself.
Yeah.
And like I would say they're just as close to me. I think I might be just as close or closer to me than like my brothers. So like it's just like. I don't know, you just live with them, you do all this traveling, and then we had a meetup last weekend in Wisconsin. There was like 25 of us from abroad that like kind of met back up, and it just like felt like a special weekend in a way. So
Yeah, that's
it was
dope.
all like a good experience.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're with a group of guys or a group of people and you're just bonding over, if you're stuck with each other, that just ends up happening inevitably. Like, It's just a bunch of assholes
Yeah.
having fun. So can't really hate that, and it always works out well. Because me and my abroad friends still talk too. I was actually saw them last weekend. I was in New York, and I ran into one of them was having a party, and I went over, so I got to see a bunch of them. It was funny. It's awesome.
Did you go with your fraternity?
No, so most of my fraternity brothers that studied abroad went to Spain. I went with two friends.
Like that?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, my brother did too. So I mean, Spain's sick, but I kind of, I don't know. I wanted to do something a little different. I almost went to Prague, but once I did Birthright, and I was like, wow, like the beaches, the culture, like this is sick. And my friends were like pushing me to do it too, so I was like, all right, like, might as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of just forgot what we were saying. I just had a mental fart, brain fart. What were we talking about?
If you went abroad, if you went with your fraternity brothers, or like kind of had a group going into it.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't like. It was just a couple of us, so we weren't like a clique. We met a bunch of different people. Like all of us, we would definitely hang out, the three of us. But we would also do our own thing, and by doing that, by being in a smaller group, it definitely made it a lot easier to like go out of your way to meet other people, because you're not just gonna be hanging with you and your two friends when you want to go out and meet everyone and do everything. And I feel like the kids that went abroad with like 10 people or 15 people, they kind of not necessarily force themselves, but like they're just gonna be hanging with them.
Yeah, no, it's true, because like one of my friends just went with all their Wisconsin friends, and they were just kind of hanging in that group the whole time. But me and my friends went knowing literally no one, and same with like a bunch of the girls we were hanging out with. So it's just awesome. And then one weekend you're saying like, oh, I want to go to this country, and your current friend's like, I don't really want to go. But then you just like hop on with another group of people and just kind of pick up your stuff and go, and you're just meeting all these people along the way. So it's just like very unique. Actually, one of my friends who's from Australia, he's from Sydney. He actually like just started a U.S. trip, and his first stop was to come visit me.
Nice.
So like he was just like, it was really cool for him to kind of experience the whole like American culture environment. So he went to one of our tailgates, and he was like so confused.
That's sick.
He was just like kind of making
straight out of a movie.
Memes of it on his social media, like.
Yeah, I'm sure he was probably pumped.
He posted on his like. Yeah, he was so pumped. He posted on his Instagram like "finna get lit," and I just like started cracking up. That was his caption. All of his like Aussie friends were just kind of messaging like, "Haha, like USA."
USA.
I thought it was so funny.
America #1, baby.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely one plus of traveling. You get to meet people from all over the world, and that's really cool. And when you go in a big group and you confine yourself to a group of people, like I feel like a lot of my friends and other people, like they take their university experience and just take it abroad. So like they are going abroad, but they're hanging out with the same people, going to the same clubs, like doing the same thing that they would do at college. It just happens to be in another country. So like you do get, it does, you do get the different aspects of the culture, but at the same time, I don't think it's fully utilizing the opportunity, like what it could be if you just go off by yourself and just fucking see what happens. Which even I didn't do. That's hard to do. Not even I, but it's hard to do something like that.
You're doing it right now.
Yeah, I guess.
You're about to do it right now, though.
That's true.
Like, that's a whole different experience. It's not like you're going on you're not even going on a program.
Nah,
open-ended. So it's just like you kind of are doing that.
That's kind of true.
Like you might know a couple people there, but like you know one person going there like with you in a sense. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be like a very unique experience. I'm extremely jealous.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can do something like that one day.
Yeah, man. Hey, next time you're in Israel, you should come hang out. You can sleep at my place. Totally. I'll buy you a drink at least.
Yeah.
I'll have a couch for you.
I'm down for it.
All right, man. I think we should wrap this up. But thanks so much for talking with me.
I just have one last question for you. This is something I always wanted just to get answered. Yeah. Is there any classes you took in college that relate to what you want to do today?
So that's a good question.
Impact on your career?
Yes and no. So I was an accounting major, and I don't like accounting. Like, I like business. I'm decent at math, and I thought it was going to be a good way for me to understand, like, the financial aspects of how to read a business and how to run a business. But after the introductory classes, the specific accounting classes, like, I don't think I will ever use those. As far as classes that were useful, I had an entrepreneurship minor, which I really, really liked. It was kind of a mixture between like marketing and management. It was open-ended. So we would have there was one class where it was on the first day, and he said, like, I want you to create a company that can theoretically generate 600 or $60 million in revenue after 5 years. And he's just like, yeah, like, break out into teams, like, choose other people to work with, start creating an idea. And like, that was the class. Like, there was no real instructions. It was just like, this is your end goal. You can start now. Let's see what you do. And that was really cool, because it was just like, I thought that was relating to real life in the sense of, for me, I like creating, and I want to, hopefully continue to generate my own revenue and my own income. And this is just a way for you to see, at least to prospect, what it would be like. And obviously $60 million, if you're making $60 million in revenue, you're killing it beyond belief. But just to scope out a project like that when I'm 18 and see like what it takes to even get a business up and running, theoretically, that gave me a nice perspective of like, even starting my fidget spinner company, like what it would take from my end to start a very small project. And there's a lot that goes into it, but yeah, I mean, my entrepreneurship classes I really liked, because they guided you, but it was like offhand. So it was you were on your own, and you had to rely on yourself and your teammates, but they were also there to like point you in the right direction. So I thought those classes were really interesting and useful. As far as like specific classes, unless you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, like most of the stuff you're going to do in your job is you're going to learn as you go, or you're going to learn at the position specifically. Like, that's why all of these companies have 2 or 3 years rotational programs where they just teach you everything, is because you don't learn shit about actually working at the company until you get there. And like, it's not that transferable to use business to actually work.
I'm really looking into rotational programs, just because I definitely thought I wanted to do tech sales, but I also love marketing. This has to do a lot with the podcast. So it would be cool to see different sides of every business. So we'll see what happens. But but it's been great. Thanks for having me on, man. I'll have you on soon. Once we're set up in Israel, I'd love to see kind of how things are going. It'd be pretty cool to kind of continue this going. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk. For everybody that wants to see Jimmy's show, check out the JB show on iTunes and come into YouTube soon, I think. You said you're making some clips. You want a video soon, so that'll be dope. All right, man. Take it easy. What'd you say? One more.
Give me a link to drop too. I'll shout you out as soon as possible. So
sweet.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Yep. See ya.